When we multiply fractions, we can follow the rule top times top and bottom times bottom. To see how this rule works, we can look at the area model. So when we look at the multiplication of 3 over 4 times 1 over 3, we can show for the 3 over 4, we can show 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. And we're going to show 3 parts that make up the parts. And then we have 4 parts that make up the whole. Okay, and that represents the one whole here. So for the 1/3, we can divide up this box into 1/3. So along the along the vertical, here we have the one part that makes up the part that we're looking for, and then the 3 parts that make up the whole. So that makes up one whole. So when we talk about the whole is going to be this 1 by 1 square. The part is going to be made up of the one part along the vertical, and the 3 parts along the horizontal. That's going to give us these 3 parts of area. So this is the area that we get when we multiply those two fractions together. It looks like we have 3 shaded parts. So when we do 1 over 3 times 3 over 4, the top times top gives us 1 times 3. And we can see that in the part that we shade, there are actually 3 parts that make up the shaded parts, 1 by 3. And for the whole, we can see that we had 3 parts making up the whole along the vertical, and we have 4 parts making up the whole along the horizontal. And we can see that there are 3 by 4 or 12 parts that make up the whole. So there's 12 parts in here. So if we do 3 times 4, we get the 12 parts that make up the whole. We can see that the area is going to be 3 out of 12 parts, and that's going to be the area or the answer to the fraction multiplication. And we can get that through top times top to get the shaded, and bottom times bottom to get the number of pieces that make up the whole. So another reason why this rule works is that when we talk about fractions, we talk about times on top, divide on bottom. So any factor on the bottom is a dividing factor, any factor on the top is a multiplying factor. And we just keep all the multiplying pieces in the numerator, and if it's in the bottom, it's all the dividing pieces, and we can combine all the dividing pieces in the denominator. So we're just basically keeping all the times pieces on top and all the divide pieces on the bottom. So multiplying 2/5 times 1/6, we're going to end up with our top times top. The multiplying pieces just stay on top. So we end up with 2 times 1 on top. And we keep the dividing pieces on the bottom, 5 and 6. So we group those together. We group all the divide together, and we end up with 30 on the bottom. And we group the multiplication on the top, so we get 2 on the top. So simplifying this, we end up with 1 over 15 as a simplified fraction. So again, we really can just do top times top, bottom times bottom. It's almost like we just have one big fraction. In fact, we do, because fractions are all about times and divides. So if we're combining it with multiplication, we just have to make sure all the multiplies end up on top. So 8 times 15. And on the bottom, we keep all the divides on bottom. So we combine divide by 3 and divide by 16 into divide by 48. We can then simplify the common factors. In this case here, there's a common factor of 12. In fact, there's a common factor of 24. So 24 times 5, 24 times 2, and then we end up with the simplified fraction of 5 over 2.